Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Chief Newhouse, you please the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Roll call.
Alderman Lockhart.
Here.
Alderman Henning.
Here.
Alderman Bellington.
Here.
Alderman Wright.
Here.
Alderman Stevens.
Here.
Alderman Carmen.
Here. All right, I'd like to welcome the visitors here this evening. First item on our agenda is the consent agenda. It's the approval of the minutes from the Board of Aldermen meeting from July 9th, the July 9th work session, and the July 13th regular session. This consent agenda for approval.
I'll move we approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda. Any discussion? Alderman Billington.
I believe the special session meeting shows that we met here. We actually met at the fire station, the July 9th.
Okay, yeah, at the top. Okay, there's a few typographical errors also that are made that we changed also. Any other discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next is public comments. Anybody from the public wish to comment? All right. Mayor's report. I just want to draw your attention to the schedule on the back. Registration is now open for the Missouri Municipal League Conference that's going to be in Kansas City this year. It's September 20th through the 23rd. If you're interested in going, there's a spot. You can go to the website and fill out the application online, or you can come down to City Hall or contact Ms. McCoy, and she will get you registered for that as well. They already have the schedule up for pre-conferences and anything else that you might be interested in, so that's coming up, and it's a good conference to attend. The other issue that I want to draw your attention to is August 6th, 7th, and 8th is Pedal Jump Days. August 4th, we will be having a joint special session with the Park Board to review the connectivity plan that's been developed, and then we will also be discussing the land water conservation grant. That meeting will be here at Dyer Park at the community building at 7 p.m. This will be the final opportunity for the boards to give input in on the sidewalks and trails connectivity master plan. So I think there is a copy of that map at City Hall also, if you would like to come down, or Lindsay has it, if you want to come down and take a look at what they have so far. After that meeting, once they make the changes, they will schedule a public presentation to show all the work that they've done over the summer for that. Outside of that, just a reminder that our Economic Development Council meetings have the address has been changed. They're going to be now at City Hall in the conference room. They're still at 615. They used to be here, so we moved the location of those. And so that is all that I have. Alderman reports. Alderman Henning.
Nothing to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Billington.
Nothing to report tonight.
Alderman Lockhart.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Get this thing on. I just want to thank all the people, the citizens that are dealing with us as we work on 2nd Street. Looks like that project's moving well, and everybody seems to be obeying the stop signs and not getting in a big hurry and causing a lot of confusion. And That's going to help make the project a little much easier if people continue to cooperate. Just out to the public, we appreciate their business, their time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for mentioning that. Absolutely. Alderman Carmody.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Alderman Stevens.
Nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Wright.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Department managers, staff reports, you have the Parks Department reports on there for your review. Are there any questions about that report? All right, we have no old business. New business. First item is a motion to authorize the city administrator and EMS director to complete contract negotiations with medical claims assistance for ambulance billing services in connection with the outsourcing of EMS billing services. This is a motion for your approval. Would you like to speak before we introduce it?
Yes, we've reviewed we had 5 companies that submitted their qualifications. Staff reviewed that, the EMS director, Dylan, myself, Ms. McCoy. We brought 3 recommendations to the Finance Committee. They reviewed it, and they've dealt with that. We are bringing 1 recommendation tonight, and I think, Mark, are you going to speak to that as well? Or?
My question was, have the other 3 members of the board, have they seen those proposals?
Yes, sir.
That was my only concern, that they had also seen it.
So, Ms. Dillon's available also if you have questions about it.
Did you have a question?
I was just asking John if he had seen it.
Oh, we have finance director, or finance chairman here, and Ruth Ann Dillon's here as well to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the city administrator and EMS director to complete the contract negotiations with medical claims assistance for ambulance billing services in connection with outsourcing of billing services.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to authorize the city administrator and EMS director to enter negotiations with MCA for billing services. Any further discussion? Alderman Wright.
I got a couple of questions. I guess the first one is, so when they will handle all of the billing, period, not just the bad accounts.
Correct.
Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay. So then,
What we've taken is, this is the collections of the last 3 years, and based on what the company has submitted as a contract at 6.9%, this is what we would pay.
understand that. I'm saying, what are we paying, how much money have we been spending on doing the billing ourselves? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. And Ms. Dillon, how much time do you spend on billing processes?
On just myself,
Yes.
that's probably half of my time, at least.
So, again, Mr. Wright, I would say taking per salary, dividing it by half, that's what we're spending.
And how much return are we getting out of it versus what we're, I mean, I know it's kind of hard to project.
Cost of that, but we will be able to provide a more reliable service. We'll be able to provide that paramedic where Ruth has been tied to billing at least half of her day. We will now have that paramedic as a full-time person. She's still going to have a little bit of time, because as the director, she will review those run log reports, and she will have to flag those are ready for billing. Not that she's going to do any of the billing, that yes, that is a complete list of what we did. And
That's what I wanted to know.
and then it goes on to this group to do the billing, do the follow-up, do the collection,
The 30, 60, 90 days.
the 30, 60, 90 day stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
You go ahead.
Right. I kind of did just a quick analysis of my budget and what parts of it. I didn't take our whole postage budget, but I took a good part of it, so that's another 1,000. Our training, because ICD-10, the federal government used ICD-9 for over 25 years now, and they're changing over to ICD-10. They're going from about 34,000 codes to 120,000 plus. And so we'd have to go through training, and you're going to have to send at least 2 people, not just one. So you're talking around $6,000 between those 2 people for travel and the class and all of that kind of stuff. Office supplies, I didn't take our whole budget again, but I took most of it, so that's $1,500. And then if I have to, because our call volume has gone up, the people, Gina Davis, who was helping out, is now going to part-time. She's had a second child, and so she's not working 2 times a week. So she doesn't always come in once a week, so if I am looking at the idea that if I have to pay somebody else to come in and help me, if I take their salary, I'm looking about $6,500. So just for this year, you're looking at over $16,000 that we are spending out of our budget to build.
Plus tech collect, correct?
Plus tech collect. Now this company will not do the collection part. If they get through everything on private billing and stuff and they still cannot collect that money, it comes back to us and then we would send it to tech collect. But they do all of the private billing besides the insurance billing. So they do the 30, 60, 90. But if it finally got to the point where they just really could not get anything, it would come back to us and we would have to send it to tech collect. But any company would do that, so it's not just them.
Industry way.
Yes.
The other 2 were like that as well, when we reviewed the finance committee, is that everyone was in this, not go to the debt collector, we still have to go back to this party that we currently use.
Now, maybe you'll know this, do a lot of agencies, do they even, so after the 30, 60, 90 days of billing, do you know if they still even pursue that debt, or do they write it off as bad debt and
just don't worry about it?
Yeah, and
that
just,
I don't know. I have not checked on that.
and that's kind of in addition to this, so
Right.
I apologize, but.
Right. And our percentage with Tech Collect has been better than the other 2 companies that we've used before, but at the same time, considering, I don't know, I think it would be something that you might want to take a look at as far as if it's really, you know, doing us a lot of good, or if it's better not to be spending that time. But they have done better.
Do you know with the Affordable Care Act, are they looking at changing IC from 10? Are they looking to redo that again, as well as they find out more information on health insurance as far as the coding goes?
I do not think that they are planning anytime in the next few years to change from ICD-10 to something else, because ICD-9 went so long, but that doesn't mean that they won't continue to revamp ICD-10 if they see there are glitches and stuff. So
I think
you're going to have updates for quite a while, because this is a whole new system.
it seems to me that this, by moving to a firm who specializes in EMS billing, it will be a more accurate bill, just because that is what they're dedicated to doing, and they have, where we provide training, they have such extensive training, and there's no way that, I'm not sure that EMS billing services can know everything, but that's what they're focused on. They have more time to research, whereas our staff.
Part of what drew me with this particular group is because probably the biggest law firm that works with Medicare and EMS law and billing is Page, Wolford, and Worth, and they have them on retainer. So that's who actually would be doing, if we sent somebody to training, that's the company we'd have to go to get that training. So they've got them on retainer and talk with them. They also have, and I don't know about the other companies because they didn't bring that up, but they also work with a company called Zermed where they can look up people's insurance. It's a huge nationwide database, and so they can get that very quickly, whereas we're, in our situation, trying to track people down, and sometimes it's a long drawn-out process trying to find out who we need to bill and where it needs to go and that kind of thing, so they can be a lot quicker with it.
So will this be a yearly or 2 year, I mean, how long is the contract?
Is the contract?
You're- We're hoping to negotiate a 3-year contract, lock into this rate.
6.9%.
Yeah, but obviously we'll negotiate for that.
And then maybe yearly, we could get a report on what we're actually recovering and all that.
Correct.
What,
And actually, we should be able to get that report even more frequently if we want. So if the first 6 months, we want to see a report twice in that 6-month period, that is part of that.
They can do it weekly, monthly,
Yeah, they
yearly,
have-
whatever.
they have a
Well,
whole
it's like,
battery.
if you get locked in, if you're locked into a
Right.
3-year contract, you really don't need to see it every week, I wouldn't think.
Right.
You
No.
can get a good idea as to what it's doing.
we can make that arrangement if you want to see it every week, though.
I really don't think,
All right.
especially not on the first week.
Any other questions or comments or discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-1.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, next is Resolution 2015-11, a resolution of the City of Odessa, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a work authorization for Larkin Group to complete additional facility updates required to comply with SRF financing for Phase 1 Northwest wastewater treatment plant. This is a resolution for your approval. Do you want to speak, introduce it?
I'm going to let Ms. McCoy talk to this. If there's questions, she has dealt with this for a much longer period of time than I have, and so if there's questions, or she can speak to it. If you want.
Just as an outline, similar to what I put in the action report, when we started this in 2009, if you recall, most of you may remember that if we were just going to do the UV plants and do the UV recommendations and requirements that DNR was mandating, are going to mandate in that period of time. As things have evolved and we are evaluating that system, those it worked from just the UV system to the entire plant. And so when we made that change, then all of the data that was presented in the SRF application needed to be updated. And we had to go through the rate analysis and the conversations back and forth through a due diligence report, update to produce what the plant was going to do. There was significant changes because the original contract was for $30,000 to get us through that process. And then as those changes happened and there was more conversations with DNR and DNR was requesting more information, then there was more hours spent. And the city administrator's spending limit is $10,000. So conversations between Larkin and the city administrator, he approved that. Well, as you know, we signed the ordinance to issue the second phase of the bonds and get the $3 million in grant. Well, that piece allowed us to add this $40,000 expenditure to that reimbursement. Otherwise, we weren't going to get that reimbursement at all. And DNR has record of the $30,000 that was done through the board, but they have no record of the board approving the $10,000. So this is kind of a catch-up because it's money that was spent back in 2013, and in order to get our full $40,000 reimbursement for our new financing, we need board action to authorize that. Otherwise, they're just going to reimburse us the $30,000.
Need a motion?
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2015-11.
Motion on second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2015-11. Discussion. Alderman Bennett.
So the approval this was John's, Don Donald's approval. I'm just trying to get the phasing on when that happened, and that would have been after the board at that time had, I believe those limits were at 1.5 thousand or raised them to 10, which put it in the city administrator's authority. And I vaguely remember us having those discussions and saying that we agreed with that and told him to go ahead. But the SRF fund requires it to be a resolution from the board.
Right.
That's-
They will not take the documentation from, as just an internal authorization.
Any other questions? Alderman Carney?
Yeah, I do recall back in 2008, after the economic downturn, I believe it was City Administrator Hayes left then. We were doing pretty much an austerity budget at the time. I got a call that you were outlining for us. So I just wasn't aware that the DNR didn't have a record of it.
Right, they've got record of the 30,000 that was done in September of 2012, but in 13, when we were making those changes, the additional 10, there's no record through the board authorizing that.
Alderman Stevens?
So I was thinking we
December of
did
2013 to go
the
in
user
effect in
rates in 2 different
14. And
phases.
so that was all part of this analysis that was required between, Joey's paid through the bond issue, is his fee.
Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Next is City Administrator report. Mr. Airy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This last week, I attended the EDC meeting, and at the meeting, we had Downtown Odessa represented, the Chamber of Commerce represented, and it was an opportunity to dialogue between the three groups and how can we better serve the citizens of Odessa and bring business to Odessa. That was the first meeting with that group, and we're going to have other meetings, and I think it was it's a good dialogue, beginning dialogue. We also met this last week with a task group that's been assigned to look at the old PD station, EMS station, and all members were present except one, and that group is looking at all the options for that building. Ryan Watkins is leading that group. And then, as you've heard, 2nd Street continues to move forward. Had to take a couple of days off because of the weather, but it continues on pace. We meet with MoDOT every Tuesday, and things are coming along. They're working on water lines now, and good progress on the 2nd Street project. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for City Administrator? Before we move to adjourn to closed session, I just wanted to, after hearing Alderman Lockhart's comments about 2nd Street, I just wanted to also, now that I recall it, I wanted to thank Pyramid Construction, who is the construction firm working on 2nd Street, and commend them. I was attending a funeral 2 weeks ago, last week. I was attending a funeral, and as the procession was going by, they were doing work in Railroad Park, and as the procession was going down 2nd Street and turning on to Main, I noticed that their workers had stopped working and all had, at that time, taken off their hard hats and were watching the procession go by. I thought that was very respectful, and I just wanted to thank them, and I'll let their supervisors know that I appreciate that. But I thought that you guys need to be aware that it seems like we have a good company working on 2nd Street. They're very respectful. I thought that was neat. So with that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session. Yeah. Oh, okay. Is this regarding anything on our agenda?
No, this is regarding my street.
Your street? Can I talk to you after the meeting then about it?
Well, talking ain't gonna do much good if you don't do anything.
Okay. I'll tell you what.
It needs to be fixed.
Okay. Hang out. We're about finished up here. We'll talk to you in just a second. Okay. Thank you. Move to adjourn to closed session.
Make a motion that we adjourn to closed session in compliance with RSMO 610.021, subsection 1 and subsection 3.
Have a motion, have a second. Alderman Wright seconds. Voice vote.
Alderman Millington?
Yes.
Alderman Henning?
Yes.
Alderman Lockhart?
Yes.
Alderman Carney?
Yes.
Alderman Stevens?
Yes.
Alderman Wright?
Yes.
All right, we'll take a brief recess here, and then we'll be adjourned to closed session. Thank you.